Thank you, Andrew. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to welcome Wee Keong here with us. He's truly a remarkable man with a very highly sought-after skill set. For starters, he did his bachelor's in economics and master's in international relations from University of Chicago. He also did his master's of administration from the very prestigious Harvard Kennedy School, and putting theory to practice. He's been with Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Singapore for a long time. He's a Deputy Chief of Commission and also Minister Counselor for Singapore Embassy in Beijing, First Secretary in Jakarta. He's also been for 5 years Special Assistant to the then DPM, Teo Chee Han. He's also, for the last 2 years, just before joining MPA, was being a part of IMDA as Assistant Chief Executive, leading Singapore's international digital strategy. And then we welcomed him to Maritime in June. So he's currently the CE of MPA. Welcome, Wee Keong. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you, Abhishek.
So he has an experience from starting from the US to China to ASEAN, all that my colleague just covered. So I thought, we would start from setting the stage on a macro level. I was very fortunate as a part of SSA to listen to Mr. Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong in March, I think, and he talked about very crisply about the changing world order, how the old world order, he said, which was more about liberalization and globalization, is giving way to the new world order, which is basically more of economic bifurcation and that of protectionism. And fast forward 6 months, we are sitting here seeing the impact on global supply chains, on trade patterns, everything as he predicted. So no pressure, Mr. Ang, but we would like to set the stage with the first question on what are your thoughts on macro thoughts on what is going on in the world, specifically with its impact on shipping.
Thank you, Abhishek. First of all, I want to thank you for your very kind introduction. I want to thank Marine Money and Stanchart for inviting me here today. It is a real privilege to be here with a very esteemed group of financiers and people interested in the maritime sector so early in my time at MPA. So as Abhishek said, I'm only 3 months in the job. So far, it's been a great time to be here, precisely because of what you have just described. Such exciting things happening globally, so I think there's no better time to come into shipping. You asked me about what I think are the main macro trends that will affect the shipping industry. I think there are 3 that can come to my mind. They would be geopolitics. We've spoken about it earlier. I think another important thing is technology, and also the energy transition. So maybe I'll speak about each of them. Geopolitics, I think we had very good presentations earlier from Jonathan. Abhishek, your own remarks also outlined the current state of affairs. We have seen how geopolitical uncertainty and conflict lead to diversions away from the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, which has sort of turned shipping and our routes upside down and led to a lot of changes in how we think about shipping. Tariffs is another big thing that we all talk about. Jonathan's presentation earlier, I think I can't agree more. I think in ASEAN we were quite surprised by how aggressive the tariffs were. But more importantly, I think behind all these global issues that's happening, the one thing that we always have to pay attention to is the state of US-China relations. I think that will be at the heart of what happens and what will shape geopolitics. We now have a lot of attention being paid to how the US TR's Section 301 will play out, particularly for the shipping sector. There are some implications on Chinese operated, owned or built vessels. We have also seen how there is the ongoing tariff talks between the US. Although they have held off the tariffs for another 90 days until middle of November, but the longer they don't come up with an answer, the more nervous we all become. So actually, the whole mood seems a bit nervous and a bit apprehensive. But I thought that there have been some encouraging signs recently. We had a phone call between President Xi and President Donald Trump a few days ago. I thought the messaging that came out of it was really positive because President Trump then wrote on Twitter that he had a very productive conversation. President Xi, through the Chinese media, readout was that they had a very constructive and positive discussion. And we are hearing that they're going to meet in South Korea at the end of the year at the APEC summit, as well as Donald Trump is also planning to visit China sometime end of this year. So I believe usually when they are ready to talk, when they are ready to exchange visits at such a high level, it's a sign that there will be some positive announcements or positive things coming. So I think we all wait with bated breath what will happen. So apart from geopolitics, I think the other thing I talked about was about technology. Today, technology is no longer just about improving our processes, digitalizing shipping documents, and improving efficiencies. I think it's really about much more transformative impact. Thanks to AI, that has of course caused some nervousness because it makes people wonder if their jobs will be overtaken by AI. My own belief is that in a sector like shipping, that will never be the case because you always need somebody to be steering the vessel. You can't rely completely on AI. But what AI can do is to make sure that we can optimize the vessel deployment. It can be deployed intelligently to do things like maintenance, predictive maintenance better. It can allow us to do smart routing. It can also allow seafarers to do their job much better. So I think that the key is how we can leverage technology in order to unlock the opportunities for the shipping sector. The third one is the energy transition. There's been quite a lot of interest about what's happening. You spoke a little earlier. Actually, some things are already in play. Like the EU ETS system is already in play. The EU has Fuel EU Maritime as well. There's been talk that China is also interested in doing something similar. I think the world is hoping that we will not have a regional patchwork of different regulations on decarbonization pathways. In fact, I think it will be good if we can have a global framework that can provide clarity for companies and businesses, and that can give confidence to our shipping companies to know what sort of investment decisions that they can make with a level playing field. So I believe the IMO's net zero framework and the midterm measures that will be tabled at the IMO next month is a step in that direction. So I think all eyes are now on that. I won't place any bets. I think that it is important for us to know that if it's adopted, there will be a lot of opportunities for the shipping and finance sector as well, because we are talking about a framework that will create a clear pricing mechanism with emission limits across the entire sector with no exceptions. So that would require our companies to think about what investments they want to make in terms of the new builds, what sort of investments to make in terms of alternative fuels. So lots of opportunities there.
Thank you. No, very well put. I think the whole macro environment, the way it is related to shipping, it's complex, but can be solved. There are elements of positivity. There are elements of what I really loved what you said about transformation, be it technology, be it decarbonization, be it geopolitics. Most of it is more about transformation. And on that note, probably moving slightly from macro and zooming in, what do you think is Maritime Singapore's itself, from a Singapore perspective? How do you want to navigate these choppy waters? And we've got a session. I see TS in the house. He'll be speaking in about half an hour. He's the president of SSA as well. But probably from your end, what do you see as Maritime Singapore's answer to these choppy waters?
I think for us, just now, I was having a chat earlier with some of the participants, and a comment was made about how actually in shipping, we have, the world is a little uncertain now, but we have seen the movie many times. That I think we're all ready, and we have been able to deal with challenges in the past, and I have confidence that we'll be able to do it again. So maybe I talk a bit about how we have, how Singapore has always looked at these challenges. And I think the first most important thing is to make sure that we remain agile to these changes. One example that I can cite, when the Red Sea crisis first broke out, actually we saw globally there was a lot of off-schedule sort of port calls, unexpected bunching up of these port calls leading to congestion at various ports all over the world. And in Singapore, we were not spared as well. But we were able to turn around the situation quite quickly because we quickly activated our industry partners as well as our unions to make sure that we ramped up manpower. We reactivated some of the berths that had previously stopped operating in Keppel Terminal. We also quickly looked at where we could accelerate the activation of berths at Tuas Port. So it is something that we were able to do in Singapore because we have a very unique, what we call a tripartite partnership. Government, industry, unions, that we work together hand in hand to resolve problems. And it's been the secret formula for how we've been able to be agile and responsive to global challenges. So that is something that I think we need to continue to do. Something that another area, a second area, I think is we need to continue to be innovative. By innovative, it means that we have to make sure that we keep trying new things and make ourselves an attractive place for shipping companies and banks to come to Singapore. I was quite heartened. I mean, after I joined MPA, one of the first announcements that I came across was that Singapore has been named the top international maritime center for the 12th year running by the Xinhua Baltic Exchange. I was quite humbled by this result. But actually, how could we do it year on year for 12 years? Surely it was not because we did the same thing for 12 years. It was because we kept doing new things every year to make sure that we keep staying ahead of the competition. Only then would we be able to keep topping it year on year. And I do hope that we continue to do well and have that confidence from the global community. So what has been the secret ingredient for that was that we try and make sure that we are always looking at new things to do. We crowdsource with industry. We also try to build up a very vibrant ecosystem of startups in Singapore in order to come up with these new ideas. We do this through, we have something called the Pier 71 network. So that is basically an ecosystem of startups that we have grown in Singapore. When we first started in 2018, I think we have about 17 or 18 companies, and as of end of 2024, we already have more than 140 of the startups in Pier 71. They come up with very interesting ideas. And every year we run a Smart Port Challenge. MPA runs this Smart Port Challenge, whereby we invite shipping companies, banks, anyone interested to post problem statements and for our startup ecosystem to come up with solutions to answer your problem statements. So I think it's been quite effective. They've come up with some really ingenious and innovative solutions over the years. And I invite all of you to take a look at what they do. So another thing that I think we will have to keep trying to do is to make sure that we always stay pro-business. This is something that's not just lip service. I think in Singapore, all the government agencies are always being asked, how can you make Singapore more friendly to businesses? What rules do you have that are outdated? Please review your rules. And every agency is constantly doing a rules review to make sure that we get rid of rules that have no longer the relevance in today's context, and make sure that we streamline our regulations so that they serve our businesses well. We also make sure that we engage companies often and regularly so that we can hear your pain points and see how best to help address the problems and make it easier for you to operate out of Singapore. So that is something that I believe we have to continue to do. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. I mean, constant change, resilience, adaptability. I think this has been the buzzwords for Maritime Singapore, been long here enough and seen and felt it. And I think most of the ship owners over here and the ship financiers and investors are very familiar with resilience and adaptability because shipping tests this probably every now and then. I would say we had a good macro environment picture. We've looked how Singapore is handling it. Let's talk a little bit more about Wee Keong and his role as a CEO of MPA. So what do you have on your to-do list for the rest of 2025 and 2026 with the current backdrop?
That is an important question that I've been asked many times. And usually I try to say, I'm just 3 months in the job, please give me a bit more time. But actually, no, I mean, I do need to be clear. And 3 months is a very good amount of time for me to have a good pulse of the industry and what the needs are. I'm also very fortunate to have very good predecessors who have done good work before me, and I will continue on what they're doing. But if you want to ask me what I want to focus on, I think there are 3 areas where I believe we can make most impact as MPA. I hope that list is much longer, but maybe today I'll focus on 3. The first one in my mind actually is digitalization. We spoke about technology earlier and the opportunities if we can harness it well. But I believe that the maritime sector, there's still some way to go before we can truly say that we are a digital or digitalized or very modern sort of sector. It is a sector that traditionally, I think, because investments tend to have a long gestation period, it takes a while to move. It's something that I've been talking a lot about with many industry partners, including TS of SSAI, one of my most important partner. And we have looked at what we can do to help the sector digitalize. So far, what we have noticed is that of the large local companies, actually they've digitalized quite well and they have adopted AI quite significantly. So we did a study, actually IMDA did a study comparing 2018 to 2023. And we saw that actually in that segment, the digitalization rates have improved, doubled in that period that I spoke about, 2018 to 2023. Unfortunately, among SMEs, the picture is very, very different. The adoption rate of technology still remains very low. Adoption of AI, I think, even lower. And that's a missed opportunity, I think, because in Singapore, within the maritime sector, we have done a bit of a survey. We think there are about 4,000 companies in this space, and many of them don't have the resources to digitalize, or they don't have the know-how to do so. So, and they are looking around. Looking around for investors, looking around for people who can guide them and advise them. So I think it's important for MPA to take the lead in working together with our industry partners and financial institutions and others interested in the sector to help our SMEs make that transition. Because of the sheer numbers, it may not be possible for me for us to help all of them at one go, but I believe that if we are able to identify segments where interest is great, yet they don't have they just need a little bit more help, then I believe together we can make a lot of impact. So that's the first one, digitalization. Second one, I'll have to use something I've already spoken about, but decarbonization is something that I cannot escape. I think for the shipping sector, it is a reality for us that we move 80% of global trade, but at the same time, we produce 3% of the world's global emissions. 3% doesn't sound very big if you think about it. But if you actually added the whole shipping sector and you pretended it were a country, and then you ranked it against other countries in the world, actually shipping will be the 6th largest country in terms of emissions. So the impact that shipping makes in terms of carbon emissions is real, and to help us achieve the net zero vision, to help the world achieve the net zero vision by 2050, I think the path towards decarbonization is inevitable for shipping. So what does this mean? This means that we must work together to make sure that we have the right systems in place to help companies make this transition. This will include financing, because that's a key enabler. This will include, for Singapore, on our end, we will also want to make sure that we provide the different types of fuels that can help shipping companies make that transition. Because fundamentally, the fuel is a key part of the carbon emissions. In Singapore, I think we have been quite humbled that we have been able to do well as a bunkering hub. So we've been the top bunkering hub for many years globally. Last year, I believe our bunkering volumes came up to $54 million, out of which alternative fuels was only about 1.3 million. Alternative, we classify LNG biofuels as alternative fuels last year. I think there's so much more room to grow further. And even though the number looks small, actually it doubled from 2023. So that's the interesting thing. It started from a low base, but doubling means that potential to grow is so great. And because it's such a small proportion of our total bunkering volumes today, I really think that there's a lot of potential for it to grow much further. So I think with the current trends that we are seeing, and from the conversations that we have with shipping companies, they're telling us that they want to make sure that we continue to provide LNG, which is an important transition fuel. They want us to make sure that we are ready to provide methanol and ammonia when their new vessels arrive. So Singapore is making sure that we do all that. We've been doing trials on methanol and ammonia bunkering. We're looking at bringing in supplies, and this will make sure that we are in a good position to service the industry and help you with your decarbonization journey when you are ready to do so.
Thank you. We're coming to the end of the fireside chat. We've had a very, very interesting session. I would say, I always try and draw a parallel. Personally, I was at sea before, and I've seen how technology moved when the ambition was to be less paper, and it was transformative to internet and then AI. So we've seen that progress. Starlink has completely changed the name of the game for connectivity. I mean, I used to pay hundreds of dollars to send photographs and calls to family and to office. Now you can just upload a video and send it to the headquarters for maintenance. So thank you very much, Wee Keong, for taking time out and highlighting 3 key things over here and how Singapore and MPA and as yourself, you are focusing on. I mean, I picked up adaptability, resilience, constant change, which is a synonym for Singapore. Pro-business, again, a Singapore speciality. And with changing geopolitics, which is one of the trends, the other is the technological development, specifically moving towards AI, and how we feel that it is transformative rather than threatening. And this is the kind of discussion we want to have over the conference. And the last part is decarbonization. Very close to our hearts. We were the first Singapore-based bank to sign the Poseidon Principles in 2021, and since then we've been there on the steering committee. Last disclosure reports put us as the 2nd most compliant out of the 35 signatories. So we completely share the vision, share the ethos, and privileged to have you here, Wee Keong. Thank you for your words. Thanks.